Where and how to find a jewelry manufacturer. I know this is a daunting question for so many designers, especially if they're new to the jewelry trade. So I'm going to help list some really good and helpful resources and tips to help you through that process. I'll also be sharing with you some important questions that a lot of my clients as jewelry designers have asked me. And so stay tuned to the end where I'll be listing these points. Remember, this is the second part of my video where the first part we explored the potential pros and cons with working with either a local or a manufacturer abroad. Now, that first part video was catered a little bit more to the jewelry designer looking to have their jewelry custom made for them. So if you're a designer that you're looking for wholesalers, so pre-made stock or custom made jewelry, then I'll be covering that in this video. If it's your first time watching, hi, my name is Kim. I'm owner of Thai Design Distributors, a third generation family business where we have our manufacturing plant in Thailand and headquarters in London and in the US. And we specialize in producing high-end sterling silver gold jewelry exclusively for jewelry designers. Now, I mentioned in my first part video that a lot of my jewelry designer customers, before they came to me, would have their jewelry produced locally first in order for them to sort of just test the waters. They didn't mind paying a higher price to have their goods made because it just helped them feel a bit more confident and understand the manufacturing process. If you're looking to go down that route, have a look at whether there are any jewelry areas or jewelry quarters in your local area that you could explore. So, for example, in London, there's an area called Hatton Garden in central London. In Birmingham, there's a jewelry quarter. And this is just where a lot of jewelry companies kind of segregate because it's well known for jewelry. If you do have an area local to you, then take the opportunity to ask retailers or designers if they know of any reliable or trustworthy manufacturer that they could recommend. The most obvious place for researching for manufacturers is, of course, online. Now, if you are a designer looking for off-the-shelf pieces, so jewelry already pre-made, obviously you have your Etsy and you have your Alibaba to go through. I've personally have had customers come to me and they've tried Alibaba. So a lot of my customers obviously are those who are looking for custom made jewelry. And they just said to me that they found the site a little bit overwhelming because there's so many manufacturers and it just took them a while to see whether they were legit or not. They just had to ask a lot of questions. So ultimately, some of them just did their own research. But there are some great alternative sites that specialize just for jewelry that I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to be listing them down below in this video, but a few that I can think of is you've got Professional Jewelry, Jewelry Focus, Bench Peg, Fairlux and Responsible Jewelry. Those two are great sites if you're a designer focusing more on sustainable and responsible metal sourcing. So feel free to check them out, see if any of them suit you or apply to you and what you're looking for. Now, I've exhibited at so many jewelry fairs around the world for over 15 years, and it is such a great way to network and to meet other companies and customers, everything all under one roof and all to do with jewelry. Especially if you're just new to the jewelry trade, it's just a great opportunity to go and learn. And usually there'll be so many jewelry related companies. So not only, your manufacturers or casting companies, but also gemstone companies or companies that are providing CAD services or 3D printing, lasering machines. All you need to do is type in international jewelry trade fair shows or, national jewelry fairs. And, there should be a whole list of various jewelry exhibitions that are going around, whether that's in your country or international. Now, I know that some countries in Asia, such as Vietnam and Indonesia, it's really on the rise now in showing their capability and skills in manufacturing jewelry. I know that it's not practical for you or realistic maybe during this time of COVID to go and visit jewelry fairs. So take advantage of looking online at these particular exhibitions. Have a look on the exhibitors list to see whether there are any manufacturers or wholesalers that have the potential to work with you. And, if the exhibitors list isn't really obvious, then I would suggest contacting the organizer directly. Let them know that, you're thinking of visiting the show and that you're looking for jewelry manufacturers or wholesalers, ask them if they could recommend a few exhibitors who are going to be there, their stand number, and then you can go and do some individual research on those companies. So this brings me on to addressing what are the important questions that you can potentially ask a manufacturer, particularly if you want custom-made jewelry produced for you. Now, these are questions that a lot of my jewelry designer customers came to me asking me, these repeated questions. And it's great because it makes me realize that, they know what they're talking about. They've done some research and they're on the ball. And it also saves my time to see whether we are a good fit to potentially work together. So here's a couple of suggested questions that you can ask them. Do they produce custom-made jewelry, or is it only off-the-shelf jewelry? So let's say you are a jewelry designer and you've got your own designs that you've created. You want that supplied exclusively for you. I would see, if it's not obvious on their website, some of their in-house range jewelry collections, because this is a great way to see whether the manufacturer specializes in manufacturing your type of jewelry. So, if they've gone out of their way taking professional photos of, jewelry that they make in their manufacturing plant, then they're kind of, showing off and saying, these are the skills and capabilities that we offer. Make sure that it is kind of in line with the jewelry that you want produced. So for example, on the Tide Design website, I make sure that we have a PDF showing the majority of our in-house range, because that then provides some information to potential designers wanting to work with us, what our skills and capabilities range from. So this is just a way for you to see, the forte or the strengths of that manufacturer and what they can or can't manufacture. Remember, it goes both ways. So don't be surprised if the manufacturer asks to see some of your designs. For example, for me, every time I sign an NDA for a customer, I always try to see some of their designs to see whether it's something that I can do. So I am not able to set really tiny micro pave set stones like in engagement rings. Those are, the ones that are just very bling bling and it doesn't show that much metal content. For us, we specialize a lot more in the finishing of the silver and gold and retaining that detail. So when it comes to intricate stone setting, that's something that I don't specialize in. Ask what techniques they use. Do they specialize more in handmade jewelry or is it stamped? Because so many factories work differently. I do both, but more so casted jewelry. If any of this terminology doesn't make sense to you, have a look on my website where I've got stages of production, and it kind of just tells you how jewelry is manufactured. This brings me on to my next point, in that you should ask them if they have the facility to manufacture your jewelry from start to finish. Some manufacturers do and some don't. So for example, they might just specialize in casting but not particularly stone setting, or have the facility to gold plate or laser engrave, etc. So in my manufacturing plant, I do everything from start to finish until it gets to any pieces that need plating. So if any pieces need gold or rose gold plating for my customers, I send off to a special plating facility in Bangkok, and they do amazing high quality plating. So don't expect all manufacturers to do everything in-house. The main thing is if they can provide that service for you, then that's great. Ask what their typical timings and their turnarounds are, especially if you're looking to have your jewelry custom made. So for me, my busiest time of the year is going to be September through to December, because that's when everybody wants their Christmas goods. That's their peak season. Check with them, because if you have a marketing event or you have a launch day at a certain time, then you might need to just plan backwards. For international suppliers, check also what their customs, duty, taxes, or shipping costs are going to be. I mentioned this in the first part video, so make sure you watch that, but there could be potential disadvantage on that part. I also talked about ethos and working ethics. Again, this is something that you really should check. Ask to know what their employee compensations are, and if there's photos available. On my website, I make sure that I illustrate as many photos as possible of my manufacturing plant, just because it can provide that confidence to jewelers before we start working together. Lastly, ask what implications that they follow when it comes to protecting your creative designs. Whether that's your CADs, the samples, the masters or molds, do they have an NDA that they'll put forward to you? Test that question and see how they reply, and hopefully they'll have, an NDA or something in place just to protect your designs. Like I said in my first part video, once you find a manufacturer, you don't want to chop and change. You want to grow with them. And so I appreciate that it is a learning curve right now, and you'd want to do as much research as possible on potential manufacturers, but it'll be worth it. And good luck. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Stay tuned to all of my other jewelry related topics. Subscribe, like, or comment in the section below. I'll do my best to answer, and take care. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.